I got a lot of heat on Twitter, Seth Wickersham, about like, of course they haven't seen it. That movie's 30 years old, 40 years, whatever it is. It's not that they've never seen it. It's that none of them, not one, Seth, not one of 40 could tell me who Jerry Maguire is. Not one of them had any sort of recognition of the phrase, show me the money. They've never heard of Jerry Maguire.
That is brutal. And I've been to that event also, and it's an interesting event. It's strange in its own way, but it's also really cool
Yeah.
in a different way too. But like each of those moments where you realize that 20 years went by in the blink of an eye, and all of these other people have been born and come up through the culture and haven't heard of these things are definitely jarring and sometimes not that much fun.
Yeah. What do you make of that event? I was a rookie out there. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Like, it was just, I mean, what makes it unique? Or like, can you describe it from your perspective, getting to go?
I've been to it a couple times. I mean, I think what's interesting is, first of all, like you mentioned, they're all in their uniform and they're all just kind of milling about. So it's like they're all dressed up for prom, only there is no prom. And then I thought that, what stood out was just that it's one of those events for them that happens once, and they're so excited about it because they get a chance to like take those photos for their first cards. They get a chance to actually like chat with one another. A lot of the times, and I write about this in my quarterback book, there's that youth football circuit. And so a lot of them, they know each other throughout the years, and other times they're meeting for the very first time. So I think that, like, all in all, it's an awesome event for them, and it's one of those weekends they won't forget. And from the outside coming in, it's cool to be a part of.
Yeah, like draft weekend is fun, but like they're guarded. There's pressure there.
Hmm.
This is just like it's real. Let it rip. It's like a dream come true for them. It was really cool to be a part of. And I love that you've been there before, and I want to go again. But you are a senior writer. You're the senior top dog at ESPN, a New York Times bestselling author. Your book, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, is out this fall. So congratulations on that and everything you do. And listen, I minded my business, Seth, on Thursday. Minded my business, and we get Seth Wickersham, or whatever we want to call it. Okay, the Seth Wickersham boom with this Caleb Williams sort of story. That's part of the story that you're trying to tell. Before we even get into it, what does that feel like? Like when that moment where like I've been working on this for so long, getting everything, and then like you're gonna drop this, and you know what it's going to do. It's gonna change the narrative in a big way.
Mm, I think there's a little bit of anxiety, of course. Like, I didn't know exactly when the new story was going to come out, but like I do think that, like, the cool thing about doing a book, and to a certain extent, I've been working on this book since I was in high school and I was a failed high school quarterback. But like, doing the book and getting to spend all this time with like John Elway and people like Caleb Williams, and get inside the recruitment of Arch Manning and learn about how quarterback came to be such a celebrated part of our culture, that is the most rewarding part of the job. And if, like, you kind of get a day or an afternoon where people are talking about little elements of it, that's pretty cool.
What did you learn writing this book?
Mm. I think that once you understand, there's a part of the book where I get into the history, not of the forward pass, but of quarterback. Like, why did this thing become so glamorized? Why is it so celebrated? And obviously, why is it so mysterious and kind of hard to predict? But once I got into that and sort of showed how, almost from the moment that the forward pass started, quarterback became this thing that even people in 1906, 1907, audiences realized was something really special, you get to understand how that time is kind of a flat circle. And look, we've seen a lot of really famous college quarterbacks throughout the years. Obviously, Caleb Williams is one of them. Tim Tebow was one of them. Um, but even in the 1940s, if you go back and look at Bob Waterfield at UCLA, the circles that he was hanging with and the Hollywood circles that he was hanging with during that time are astounding. And I think that, like, from the moment that as a culture, we decided that this is a job that we want to celebrate, um, it elevated those guys who did it at a high level to those, lofty cultural circles.
Yeah, and I'm fascinated to read it because just the idea of, I mean, I can just to even bring it back to the rookie premiere, the quarterbacks are just different. I
Hmm.
said it on the call this morning, get a production call, and everyone's like, what was it like? And I was like, you just watch like the Riley Leonards and the Will Howards, and you watch Jalen Milrow move, like they move different. They just, it's just a different It's just a different thing. And their relationship with fame is
Hmm.
complicated, and that's something that it's a theme in the book as I understand it. When it comes
Absolutely.
to when it comes to someone like, let's just take it to like even an Arch Manning, which I know is talked about, how, what did you notice, or what, like, how are they in the Manning family sort of, or the support system around him, even him himself, his old
Hmm.
coach, of course. I've talked to him, Sark, about this. How do you handle the complexities that are going to come?
And honestly, I think that like that's the hardest part. And really, my book is a book about, American fame. And I think that
Hmm.
as a quarterback, you don't get into the job just because you can throw the ball well. I think that like at this point, knowing what the job builds in you, what it strips in you, and what it requires and takes of you. I mean, you have to wear all of these different hats, from being a corporate spokesperson to being a philanthropist to being a raging jerk at times to um, matinee idol. You have to do all of these things and know that everyone is focusing on you on every single play. And I think that it takes a certain personality to do that. I don't think that was always the case throughout history, but I think definitely now, I think that there's almost like an American Idol aspect of it, where the people who decide that they want to be NFL quarterbacks know that this is part of it, and they have to prepare themselves for a huge level of fame that really starts in high school. For Arch Manning, it started even before high school. And,
Mm-hmm.
those are a lot of the things I get into in the book.
Yeah, and you get into a couple quarterbacks, the current ones that we have. You have Bo Nix,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm
Mm-hmm.
fascinated by, his sort of
Yep.
transition to the NFL. What is a quality of Bo's that stuck out to you and sort of made him such a good match, maybe for the NFL and for really Sean Payton specifically in the Broncos?
Well, what I get into with Bo Nix is I have a lot of interesting insidery detail about the scouting process that led Sean Payton to want him.
Mm.
And it touches on a lot of things from, I don't want to give away too much at the moment, but like it touches on a lot of things from like analytics and Moneyball in the NFL to personality type. And I think that losing out on Patrick Mahomes was something that haunted Sean Payton. You know Sean very well. I mean, that has haunted Sean Payton's career, that he had his eye on Mahomes and that the Chiefs traded up right before he was due to pick him and got him. And I think that the scars from that led to him creating a system to evaluate quarterbacks that led to Bo Nix.
Well said. And now he's adding support to that, and we're like revisiting
Hmm.
a Saint sort of vibe from before that he's also recreating. I think that was like sort of something that stuck with Sean Payton as well. And he crushed it. He
Hmm.
had a great, but he's got these qualities. I was just talking about Dylan Gabriel. I'm sure you heard, teammate of his,
Hmm.
and just, I don't know if it's Dan Lanning or if it's just like landing with these offensive minded coaches. Like what I'm trying to think of like what the lesson is. And I was talking to even some of these young cats, like even the Dylan Gabriels and the Tyler Shucks. I mean, I'm going to drop an F bomb when I say this kid's name for sure. So I can't. Shuck. Tyler Shuck, just like being these, like, I mean, Tyler's line to me was, yeah, I'm a little bit of a rookie and a veteran at the same time. I'm trying to think of just
Hmm.
like the lesson in these young quarterbacks, and those, the older ones, the older young ones are really figuring it out and having success, a la Jaden, a la Bo Nix, which we love to
Hmm.
see. I was going to ask you about Caleb, of course, because this is this is like
Yeah.
the leading story on this. I'm so fascinated by Bo Nix. What a hook! Can't wait to read about that. Um, were you surprised? What was surprising to you about the reaction to this, like, first little taste of this story?
Well, to go with what you were talking about earlier, like what's the lesson? I think that Carl Williams and Caleb Williams knew that as much as being a great NFL quarterback comes down to your ability to manage all of these things and being able to make these incredible throws that really only maybe five people a generation can make, who picks you matters. Luck
Mm.
matters. And I think that like they saw the situation similar to how Jack and John Elway saw it in 1983, to how Archie and Eli Manning saw it in 2004, where if there was a way possible for him to have some agency over his future employer, they wanted to exhaust all avenues and see if they could do it. And because I think that they realized that, does Bo Nix have the rookie year that he has if he's not drafted by one of the greatest offensive minds ever? I don't know that.
Yep.
Probably, I doubt it, to be honest with you. And I think that like location matters and who's coaching
Mm-hmm.
you matters and support system matters. And so when you look at the Chicago Bears and you look at their history with quarterbacks, really going back 70 years, but especially the recent history, there's not a lot of good things to talk about. And so I think that for the better part of a year in the run up to the draft, Carl Williams was looking at ways around the draft if possible. And I think that what they came down to was, are you willing to create an untenable situation similar to what the Elways did and kind of similar to what the Mannings did, and make it so that the Bears would be forced to trade you? Could that work? And was that something that they wanted to do?
You interviewed him. Of course, you were close to his father talking to the Mannings, to Mr. Elway, in trying to navigate what he
Mm-hmm.
thought might be best for his son. And it's an incredible, and I appreciate the storytelling. I can't wait to read about more about it. What stuck out to you about Caleb? Do you feel like Caleb is misunderstood?
Well, the thing that I enjoy about Caleb, and I reported around him a lot. I mean, I went to his old high school, I went to USC, and I think that like the sincerity with which he carries himself is really interesting. And I think that like when he first wanted to be a quarterback, and he had played running back, and he had decided he wanted to play running back or wanted to go to quarterback. And when he told his dad that, he said, "No, you don't understand. I want to be the greatest ever." And his dad, who, you know, kind of gets labeled as one of these quarterback dads, but at first his dad wasn't thinking like, "Hey, I have to figure out a way to reverse engineer this so that he's the greatest quarterback ever." He looked at it as a way to get his kid to eat healthier, to go to bed earlier, to be more obedient. Any parent can relate to those things. And I think that what you learn about Caleb as you hang around him and as you watch him is, you know, he wants to be great. His high school coaches talked about when they started him in high school over a popular, um, you know, student who was ahead of him in terms of years in high school, upperclassmen.
Mhm.
And it was because of a vibe. It wasn't because Caleb understood the offense so much better at that point. It was because of a vibe that he gave off. And when Caleb was entering the draft, remember he had that last year at USC, which is up and down. They lost at home to Washington. He ends up in the stands, you know, in his mother's arms. And after that game, he didn't come out
Yeah.
and meet the press. And there was a lot of NFL people who were saying, like, that's not going to fly in the NFL. It's not going to fly in the management, and it's not going to fly in the locker room. And if you look at how Caleb handled his rookie year, in which I think he was put in a lot of compromising positions by that coaching staff and by that organization, he never broke. He went in front of the cameras each time and he was an accountable leader. He proved how tough he was. And finally, he proved that he can make really difficult throws under really difficult circumstances. So if I'm a Bears fan right now, even though the first year of that, you know, the Caleb
Yeah.
regime didn't go very well, I think there's a lot of reasons to be really optimistic.
What's his relationship with fame? How does he handle fame?
I think he's used to it. And I think he is one of those men. I think that he's one of those people who, when he decided he wanted to do this, he understood very quickly that this was part of it. His he and his dad told me stories about when they first realized that he was starting to gain some notoriety. They were at the Alamo Bowl when he was at Oklahoma, and he was talking to his parents down in the hotel lobby, and he turned around and there was a line of people that had surrounded him waiting for his autograph. And at that point,
Hmm.
he wasn't, you know, a Heisman winner. As he got to USC, he learned little ways around avoiding paparazzi at LAX. Um, and so I think that it's one of those things that he's used to and he's gotten used to it. And I think that he's pretty comfortable being in the spotlight. And I think that, again, going back to what we talked about earlier, if you're a quarterback in the year 2025, it's something you simply have to be comfortable doing. You cannot be one of these guys who maybe were able to fly under the radar, you know, earlier. It just doesn't exist that way anymore.
It's true. And I look at no further than even Joe Burrow. Just Joe Burrow, you know, he would
Mm-hmm.
like a private life, but he understands that it's part of it. It's fun to watch him sort of reveal and understand that and how much work he has to put into that. We're going to take a TV break, but Seth, we're not done with you yet. But for the TV crowd, American Kings, a biography of the quarterback, it is available for pre-order. It will be out September 9th. I would love to know the story that you want to tell next. What's next? What's the next Seth Wickersham, Wickersham boom bomb, whatever?
I might have to give that one a little bit of thought, but I'll let you know sooner than other people. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, you wrote the definitive book on the Patriots dynasty. You've covered Bill for a long time. What are your thoughts on this new public persona?
Belichick?
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's complicated. I think that, like, you know, he's someone who talk about someone whose personality is not suited for fame. I mean, I think that, like, he loved being a head coach and he loved a lot of things that went with it, but he really reacted to the scrutiny and the invasiveness that comes with the job his own way. And I think that that's one of the
yeah.
things that coaches have always felt kind of impressed with him by, is that, like, he's kind of unabashedly himself. And it's one of the reasons why he had so many of those memorable press conferences where he says nothing other than on to Cincinnati. I think that, like, what's got to be difficult now is that, North Carolina hires him, they make him the highest paid public employee in the state, and they think at the minimum what they're getting is a no drama buttoned up football program, and yet all of the conversation has been about non-football dramatic matters, and I think that probably has to bug him.
Uh, Eloquently said. Maybe you can get and there's more to that story to tell. So maybe that's something for the future. American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. We're talking like 40s. We're going with way back in the time machine. I cannot wait. It's available for pre-order right now, out September 9th. All of your favorite quarterbacks, and just the humanity of it, which I'm most fascinated by. Seth, I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kay.
Good to see you. He's too humble about his Wickersham bombs. What?
Oh,
What is it?
I've got my Shakespeare cup.
Let's go! Don't even. You can't do that to a girl on a Monday morning. I'm gonna crave that all day.
I know.
When's the last time you were
Thank you
back?
very much.
When's the last time you were back?
Oh, I go there when I go to Chiefs playoff games. I fly out of Columbia, so I'll drive there afterwards and then fly home out of Columbia.
Seth, that is so cool that you do that. That's insane. That's insane that you do that. I love it.
See you down the road. Thank you.
See ya.